Hello and welcome. Katie here of MindfulNest Real Estate. Today marks a special day for me. It's the kickoff of a podcast series that is near and dear to my heart. And I say that because it combines one of my long-time passions of helping families experience a graceful move with a concept that I've been exploring surrounding honoring ancient wisdom and how we can work with nature in our tasks and not against it. This is work that I've been doing on a very personal level for a while, and I'm having great results. I have to laugh because combining these interests to me is like a wow and a well duh at the same time. I say this because deep down, you and I already know what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to go into all the juicy details, but in our hustle, bustle, do more culture, we tend to push aside our greatest wisdom until it is so far back that we completely forget about it. Okay, here goes. So, you know those days when it feels like you're fighting life? Even the simplest tasks, those that you've done a million times, feel like an uphill battle. Well, you, like me, we get tough on ourselves and we ask, why now? This is so ridiculous. Where's my motivation? Why is this so hard today? But here's the thing. It's not about our motivation or our ability to complete the tasks. The real issue is that our energy isn't in alignment with the type of task that we're trying to do. We are cyclical beings by nature and not linear. Frankly, I had fully bought into that hustle grind culture, and it left me feeling exhausted, burnout, and disempowered. The do more, keep up, and just get it done started becoming old, and I knew there had to be another way. So as I sat with my intuition, I decided to look not forward for the answers, but rather in the past, where common life had more balance and harmony. So this is where it gets interesting and where this series comes in. Our energy fluctuates in a very specific and predictable way. Many of us women are influenced strongly by our menstrual cycles each month. And for those that are not experiencing their menstrual cycle, they are subtly influenced by moon cycles. So when we ignore these natural rhythms and try to power through tasks that don't match our current energy phase, life feels like a struggle. The result is always frustration, burnout, and a feeling of being out of sync. So instead, what if you started flowing with those natural cycles? What if you matched, in this case, and as we'll be discussing in this podcast series, your moving tasks, whether it's packing, all the details of planning, actually lifting boxes, with the energy that is most suited for the job. The goal here is to create a sense of ease and flow rather than pushing against the grain. So in this first episode, we're going to dive into how our energy shifts throughout the 4 distinct phases of the lunar and menstrual cycles, and whether we're syncing the menstrual cycle or if we're no longer menstruating, aligning with the moon to these tasks. These phases bring unique strengths and opportunities, all of which we need to bring a plan into full fruition. When we work in harmony with these cycles, something as stressful as moving can actually become an empowered, aligned journey. There's a great quote, not really sure who wrote it and if it's exact in language or not, but I repeat it in my head often. It says, efforts not in line with nature bring suffering. And that's exactly what we're going to avoid in this series by aligning our moving tasks with our natural rhythms. So today we'll explore some basics of these energy phases and how they play a huge role in not only how we move through life, but also how we get moving physically from one home to another. We'll break it down into these 4 distinct phases, and I'll give you a roadmap on how to align your tasks for each phase so that your moving process feels more in sync and manageable. Let's take the stress out of moving and start working with your energy instead of it. So now that I've touched on the idea of your energy being cyclical and not linear, let's break it down a bit further. Our bodies and really everything in nature operates in cycles. For women, this usually syncs up with our menstrual cycle, which has 4 distinct phases. But even if you don't have a menstrual cycle, you're still influenced by the moon's phases, which follow a very similar pattern, just in a slightly more subtle way. So what are these phases? Let's start with a quick overview. The menstrual phase. Think of this as your winter. It's a time for rest, reflection, and inner visioning. Your energy is at its lowest, and this phase is all about resetting and preparing. This is our winter energy, or new moon. Here we are most intuitive, where the right and left hemisphere of our brains are most connected to make solid decisions here. Second, our follicular phase. This is our spring. Energy starts to rise, creativity blooms, and we're more focused on planning and strategizing. This is our spring waxing moon. Our energy is building here, and we are naturally drawn to planning, initiating new ideas, and starting new things. Third is our ovulatory phase. This is our summer, our peak energy, productivity, and action. This is the phase where we feel social and ready to tackle the heavy lifting, literally and figuratively. This is our summer full moon. Here we are most verbally fluent, social, connected with others, strong, and can easily put in a few extra hours to get the larger tasks accomplished with ease. Fourth is our luteal phase. This is our fall. Our energy is beginning to wind down, but we are detail-oriented and focused on wrapping things up and preparing for the next cycle. This is our fall waning moon. Here we tend to see things in our life through a very critical lens, aware of what needs to be changed, and have a keen eye for details. So these phases represent the natural flow of our energy each month. And when we tap into this rhythm, we can feel more aligned with what we're doing. So let's imagine you're about to move and you're in your menstrual phase. This might not be and isn't the time to pack up boxes or haul furniture around. Instead, it's our time for reflection and planning, visualizing how we want our new space to feel, setting intentions for our move, and making a mental roadmap of the process. When we're in our follicular phase, we're likely to feel more motivated and start organizing things, creating to-do lists, scheduling movers, or even packing non-essential items. In the ovulatory phase, when our energy is at the highest, we'll want to do all the heavy lifting. This is the phase to pack, move, and tackle any physically demanding tasks. And finally, in our luteal phase, we can focus on finishing things up, unpacking, organizing, and settling into our new home. We'll get into each of these phases in more detail in the upcoming episodes, but for now, just know that moving in sync with your body's natural rhythm can help you feel less stress and more empowered during what is typically a very chaotic time. In fact, I challenge you to take a moment and think about how you're feeling in your cycle right now. What does your energy feel like? And what tasks are you facing that could align with your current phase? By the end of this series, we will have a full roadmap to plan your move in harmony with your body's natural cycles, making what's usually a stressful event into something that feels much more manageable. Thank you for tuning in.